Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Made Royal Podcast, and I'm Trevor Joel, your host, where we dive into deep conversations about identity, purpose, and business. And today, I have a special guest, Daniel, and we're going to be talking about restoration and obedience. What's up, Daniel? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you, bro?
Doing good, doing
Been
good.
a minute. We were supposed to get this thing going, but we finally here, bro.
Yes, man.
Both busy.
Both busy. Hey, so tell the listeners and viewers, like, who are you and what do you do, man? What do you do?
My name is Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you did the intro for that.
Yeah.
I'm a creative person, so I work with Fox News, Fox 26 locally, and develop their LPI team. So I'm
Yeah.
a photog editor for them, but I
Yeah.
also produce like segments and shows.
Yeah.
It's a great job. Just started it, and I'm in church as well. Same church as you. I volunteer, serve at the Grace Church, and I just enjoy serving the
Yeah.
community, serving people. I'm married as
Yeah.
well. You were
That's new. That's new, right?
Yeah, anniversary is coming up in June, so I'm
Ooh.
really excited for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a creative person. I love God. I love people, and
Mhm.
yeah, this.
So
Yeah.
let's dive into that married life. How's the married life? Because
It's,
the wedding was beautiful.
yeah,
Okay, you look good.
appreciate.
One thing that I admire, and I think I told you about your speech.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've shot a lot of weddings. You know, I do wedding photography, and that was top tier.
yeah,
So like, how's married life? The wedding was beautiful.
yeah.
Now you went into marriage. How's marriage?
Marriage is great, man.
Yeah.
I always say it's like doing life with your best friend, honestly. And I feel like when you both have a firm relationship with God, it makes things
Yeah.
easier. Obviously, you get tested because
Yeah.
you're doing life with someone every day.
Mhm.
But I think since we have that foundation of like being in church, having a relationship with God, we're both on the same page
Mhm.
majority of the time. And so marriage life is great. Obviously, like we're still within our first year, so we're still like getting to know things and like really trying to figure out like a routine, especially
Yeah.
because we both started like our new jobs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so we're trying to get into that routine. But marriage life is great. Like I love my family, my in laws, like they all get along, and
Yeah.
so it's just been great.
Okay, cool. I love that. So going back to the wedding,
Hmm.
how did you dive deep into that? Because tell the listeners, because you already told me,
Yeah,
like the speech, like how did that, the foundation of it,
yeah,
because that goes more into who you are.
yeah.
See, how did that come about? You know?
Well, I've always grown up on the understanding like it takes a community, it takes
Yeah,
a village.
yeah,
And so obviously I was gonna honor my mom at some point, and I was gonna give her a dozen roses, but
yeah,
then I was like, okay, let's give her a dozen roses, but let's set a rose at each
yeah,
person's table that I
yeah,
felt like impacted me and helped grow me
yeah,
to who I was. And so we set a rose at, Pastor Ray's table. We set a rose at we call her Mama Sani, my best friend's mom. Like we put a rose on her table,
yeah,
my dad, my bonus
yeah,
mother, and like my aunts and uncles, and just different people.
yeah,
And I just went through a list of just gratitude,
yeah,
thanking them for what they've done, even like pointing out examples where I remember you did this for me.
yeah,
I'm like grateful for you. And then, I get to my mom and I'm just like, you know, these roses we gave to everyone, you don't deserve a single rose. You deserve an actual dozen. You deserve a bouquet.
yeah,
And so I just want to appreciate you for everything you've done,
yeah.
everything you've taught me. You've been like the biggest teacher in my life. And I used to do acting.
Exactly.
And so I used to act in school and
Yeah.
like high school.
Theater.
Yeah,
Yeah,
theater.
yeah,
And so to cap off the speech, I just told my mom, I was like, out of all the directors I've had in my life, you've been the best director.
yeah.
And
Yes.
that's why I was like, finally, we're gonna give you your flowers. And so we gave my best man, Johnny, he
Mhm.
gave her the flowers, the bouquet, and everything. And so it was just like a wholesome moment, like a full circle moment,
Yeah.
honestly.
It was beautiful. And into that, who put you into acting and what is it? What's how to say it?
Theater.
Theater. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What? How did? Because I feel like where you are, I always believe like anything that we've done as a kid, it shapes us.
yeah,
You know, I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I still love animals.
yeah.
But I was still creating. You know, as I
Gotcha.
was a kid, but with animals, taking pictures of animals and all that.
For sure.
So for you, theater and acting, has that helped the foundation where you are now?
Yeah, I think it's maybe more extrovert,
Yeah.
honestly.
Mm.
How that kind of started off. It's a funny story. It's rooted to my mom
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah.
Uh, I wasn't really big into theater, but
Yeah.
then we had like a school play,
Yeah.
and the call time for it was supposed to be like I think like 6 p.m., 5 p.m., something like that. But my mom thought that they just wanted me there early. The show doesn't start actually until like, you know, 7, but the show actually started like 30 minutes after. So we ended up being late. I missed my like play, and I had my understudy at the time fill
Yeah.
in for me. So
Yeah.
I was like upset. I was crying. I think that was the first time my mom actually saw like I was upset about
Wow.
something that I felt like held dear to me. And
Yeah.
so after that, it just like kind of was entrenched in me that this is what I want to do. Like I wanted to do theater. So after that day, I just really like studied,
Mm-hmm.
learned as many dialects as I could,
Yeah.
brought it into middle school, high school.
Yeah.
I was super competitive
Yeah.
too. Like, I grew up in a sports
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So I kind of had like that sports competitiveness too. So I would literally like go in to theater, like go into trials for a part. I'm like, I'm better than you, you. And like,
Had that
yeah,
confidence.
yeah. And so I was good, like
Yeah. Yeah.
honestly, and then it just boosted my confidence
Yeah.
in my freshman year because I only had like 5 lines. We were doing a competitive thing for UIL, and I won an award off of like my 5 lines. Everybody
Yeah.
was like, "Man, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're a freshman."
Yeah.
But then I just loved it. I love film. I love movies. I love like seeing how people act.
Yeah.
And then one day a guy told me, he was like, "I don't think you should be an actor. I think you should like produce and like write things."
Yeah.
Because what I was like writing and making videos of, he was like, "This is fire. Like
Mhm.
you should actually like tap into this." So I started tapping into that.
Yeah.
I'm working on different
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah.
Now I'm able to, even with my job now, I'm pitching stories,
Yeah.
ideas, and telling like viewers what I want them to know.
I
And so
love that.
yeah, like doing theater for sure helped me be an extrovert and be able to like have conversations and be able to like tell stories, even if it's like my story or someone else's.
No, definitely from the outside looking in, I feel like you've done a whole lot from experiencing the wedding and then diving deeper into like, oh wow, theater, and then hearing your testimony and then doing the Bible the GYA project,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
a big thing. But I do see the foundation of that, you living out the foundation of you acting and theater. But let's dive into restoration and
Yeah.
obedience, man. I just want to lead it to you of
Yeah.
like, what do you have to say about that? Because you were in a season
Yeah.
recently of just transitioning and trusting in the Lord, and even this restoration where you are now. Let's
Yeah.
dive into that.
Yeah. In August last year, I have been with the company for like 3 years.
Yeah,
I just felt like it was weighing me down. It was spiritually heavy on me. I just didn't agree with a lot of the morals of the company.
yeah,
Also felt like there was just some wrongdoings going on to me personally. Um, and one day, God just told me, it's time for me to go.
yeah,
And He literally told me I have to close the door that I'm seeing right now in order to see the door opening behind me.
yeah,
And so, but I've always like had it on my heart of leaving. Like
yeah,
it wasn't the first time I had like brought this up.
yeah,
So one day I turned my 2 weeks in, and then they're like, "You don't have to show up no more." Like they're not even gonna like have me work my 2 weeks. So I'm thinking, man, like they're gonna fire me or something. They're just gonna like cut me off,
yeah,
not pay my 2 weeks out. This, that, and the third, and then I went to sleep. God told me just, specifically, I'm looking at like in my dream, there are like sticky notes of things. There's, I can't remember the writings of like some of these other sticky notes, but
yeah.
there's one that was just in bold, and it was like, have Tabitha's faith.
Wow.
And woke up immediately. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning. And I just like, I'm going on my phone. I'm like trying to find the Bible app and like figure out like who's Tabitha. I've never heard of this woman in the Bible. And then my wife, she's like waking up. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Who is Tabitha?" And she was like, "Huh?" I'm like, I nothing. I'm like, nothing. Just go back to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. And so told her next morning what God showed me. And I just found out like Tabitha, she's a super small verse in Acts. And she's just a woman that did like really good work as a practicing discipleship. And, she did good works for her community, like, helped the needy, helped the
Yeah.
poor. Um, but like her Greek name is Dorcas. And
Dorcas.
so I found that out. And like the unique thing about that name is like we have something in today's world called like a Dorcas gazelle. And the unique thing with them is they've grown so accustomed to like their habitat, they don't need like water to survive.
Wow.
And so I'm like, man, that's it. Like, God, you're showing me like I don't need to survive on what the world is trying to offer me. All I need is you. And so went into my exit interview. They said, hey, we're gonna pay your 2 weeks out. Don't worry about it. We liked having you. Is there any feedback you want to give us? And so I gave them some positive feedback. And then I mean, for like 8 months straight, I didn't have like a job. I mean, I was working like side contract stuff.
So in that, what season were you in? Because that was like a season you just got married.
Yeah, like we got married in June. Worked a month in July.
Yeah.
August 15th.
So you had that dream in the newlywed season.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to my wife, man. Like she supported me, honestly. She was like, if God's telling you this, then who am I to tell you any different?
Yeah.
And so for 8 months, she supported me.
Yeah. But that dream is crucial because like he is everlasting, you know,
for sure.
And he has that well abundance, and even having the dream and then dissecting the name is like, that's like a critical moment in your life for like restoration, you know?
For sure.
So let's dive into that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I feel like if you want to find a way how to communicate with God, you got to dive in deeper. Yeah. There are specific ways God's going to communicate with you. I feel like whether it's like you listen to worship music, you listen to reading your Bible, praying, but God does speak to you in your dreams. And so like that aspect of him, like showing up, showing me what I needed, kind of not like my foundation with him was never rocky, but it restored my confidence in him, knowing that like I'm leaving, knowing that you're going to take care of me. Yeah. And so, I mean, he took care of me 8 months, this, that, and the third, never missed a meal, never missed a bill. We like handled everything correctly. Yeah. And then one day, you know, a job opportunity came up, and I remember I was talking to Pastor Olivia one day. And usually I talk to Pastor Ray, but Pastor Olivia gave me some great wisdom, me and my wife. And she knew that I had left my job to be obedient to God because he knew it was time for me to leave. And so I was obedient. And so 8 months leading up to this new job I'm at, I'm going into my final interview, this, that, and the third. And I'm telling her, I'm like, I think I messed up on my previous interview. She's like, no. And then she said, I will say, though, like, God rewards faithfulness. And y'all both been so faithful. Yeah. And Daniel, the fact that you were obedient enough to leave your job because God told you to, you know, God rewards that faithfulness. Yeah. And then like next week, I ended up getting the job. Yeah. And that stuck with me, you know, the faithfulness, and God just restored everything in my life that, you know, he had to take away for a second in order to push my faith even stronger.
So let's dive deeper into that, you know, like some encouragement in that season. You said that 8 months, right?
Yeah.
8 months, you know, newlywed and in this economy and in this society, how social media is so heavily on like a man needs to lead or X, Y, and obviously a man does need to lead. So what's some encouragement in that? Not even encouragement. What was some practical steps that you were going through in that season? Because God was molding you in that season. You know, he gave you that dream. What were you doing? Like it says, faith without works is dead. So like, what were you doing in that process? Obviously applying for jobs, but like still trusting in him, you know, like
100+ jobs.
Yeah. So explain that process, you know, of like leaning on him.
Honestly, so my words of encouragement, like for anybody going through this, one, save. Like make sure, like, don't be stingy. Like find coupons. It's not that big of a deal. So like I've always been a money pincher anyways, like a penny pincher. So like
Counting pennies.
I'm always counting them. If there's a deal, I'll take it. But the practical ways I was trying to shape my foundation relationship with God throughout this season. He tested me, honestly. He put me in situations to grow me in specific areas in my life, which was prayer. which I thought like I knew everything about prayer because my mom grew up in church and I seen it, how she deals with prayer and like how she handles it. And she's like a prayer warrior, quote unquote. And then throughout this season, I just really like wanted to speak to God and have him speak to me as much as I can. So like one thing I would tell someone that's going through this season, and I tell people who come to me about like how they're dealing with like unemployment or whatever, I say, dive into your relationship with God and speak to him as if you would speak to your friend every day. Like, I think sometimes we forget that God is our friend and he's our father as well. And that we need to be able to communicate with him as much as we can. Don't spend like one time a day trying to talk to him for 30 minutes. Try 30 times a day to speak with him. Instead of like you scheduling one time to speak with him. But that's not how we do our friends. So why should we do that with God? And so that's why I always tell people. And then also just be wise, have wisdom. But then the prayer aspect, he challenged me to really dive into that. And now I lead the prayer team for our young adults ministry. And like, I don't think I would have been able to do that if God didn't put me in a position to rely on prayer so heavy. And so he really molded me in that aspect of things. And now I'm able to really dive in, read my word. And there's always a verse that's stuck with me ever since I was younger. Like, even when I was like doing theater in high school, it was Psalms 32:8. And it says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. And I will counsel you with my eye upon you. And like every time I feel like I'm not sure what's going on, I always tell people, read that verse, you know, because it helped me. Because sometimes we have a lack of understanding of where God's going to take us and like the knowledge of what we really want to know, but God isn't going to give us that. I say lean on that verse a lot because sometimes we lack the understanding because God doesn't want us to know just yet. And specifically for people who are dealing like with unemployment or like in a season of not knowing, I always say this to them. I say, God's the author of our story. Let's say, you know, I'm 25. I tell them, God is the author of our story. You know, this is just one chapter he's written out. You don't even know what chapter 26 has for you. He's writing chapter 25 right now, but that's not where the book ends. Chapter 26 is already written. You just don't know what's in store for you. So go through this chapter of your life to get to the next one. God is going to let you read that next chapter. You just got to finish the chapter you're in first.
Yeah, that's good, bro. That's a good preaching right there, man. Look at you. I love that. One thing that I realized from just hearing it fully is like preparation in your life, you know. And another thing is one thing that you did is seek counsel.
For sure.
That's the biggest thing because a lot of people are ashamed and not really want to talk about, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. But you seek counsel, you know? And I feel like inviting people into your world does tremendous things in your life. Like you reached out to Pastor Ray and you even shared a little bit with us in our group of what's going on, just to uplift you and encourage you and pray for you. And even in the aspect of what God was doing in your life, you're leading a prayer team because he helped you in that season of prayer. You know?
I enjoy this team. It's a fun team. I enjoy it.
And it's like you're leading it, but you had to go through the fire. You had to go through a season. Newlywed, you had a good job, 8 months, and then now, where are you at now? Like how's life? How's life at the moment?
Yeah, like so where I'm at now, I mean, it's completely different than where I started. Obviously, we're still newlyweds. Like me and my wife, we just started marriage, and then we have like this season we get rolled into immediately. That some people don't really go through until like later in their marriage, but we dealt with it within the first year of our marriage. But God really showed me what I needed to be for my wife, like be a husband.
That's good.
I have more time at home, so I need to cook. I need to clean up more. I need to listen to her needs rather than just mine. And so it really grew me in that aspect of just being a husband and not being like a working husband. Because there's a difference, you know, when you're working 5 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever, how many times you're working, you lose the attention sometimes to give to your significant other, to your wife. And so that's something that really developed in me throughout the 8 months, is being strictly a husband and hearing what my wife needs and trying to provide that for her, whether it's like, doing dishes, making the bed, cleaning up, or like making dinner every now and then. Like hearing that and really developing that part. Now that I have a job, it's something I do now on just a regular basis.
That's deep, because he prepared you, and then he's preparing you in the marriage life. Like he's restoring you individually, and he's putting more into how to be a husband, how to be a provider in a sense. I love that. I do. That's dope.
Because there's a way to provide. You could provide financially for your spouse, but you also need to provide for her, like, mentally, spiritually as well. Like you need to make sure you're not just monetizing everything as a way to make someone happy.
And that's again as another topic, but like just to hit it on the head. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of men don't know that. Yeah. It's like, hey, I want to provide financially, but you have to do it spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally in all aspects. But you have to do that for yourself first.
For sure, yeah.
And in that season that you're in, God restored it in so many ways, And that's why I said earlier, it's like you're a prime example of it, from me,
For sure, yeah.
And when people meet you and people hear the story, hopefully it's a prime example of this to trust in the Lord with all your heart. Yeah. But no, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just somewhere I'm at right now, and like, and then just like moving away from the marriage part of things, like where I'm being called to now, like I feel like I'm mentoring a lot more people who are either dealing with the same issue I dealt with, or just needing prayer. And that's something God stretched me in as well, like the aspect of prayer. So I'm praying more in my daily life, and then people are coming to ask me to pray over their daily life or pray with them. And I felt like that's something I shied away from at times. But now, because I rely so heavy on it, I'm like, I'm going to do this for someone else too, so they can know that prayer works and fasting works. And, being obedient and faithful to what God is doing in you right now is going to help you so much in the long run. Because obedience is key in your faithfulness. Exactly. And I think sometimes we forget the obedience part. We're like, we're just faithful. I have faith in God.
We good.
But
we good.
When God tells you, hey, like,
leave that job.
Leave that job, or leave that person, or, listen to what I'm telling you. You start to get a pull because it's not something you want. Like, flesh-wise, that's not something you want to do. But God's telling you no, but your spirit needs it. For sure. And so that's something like I've been really trying to communicate with others, in this aspect of like mentoring people. Like it's even people that are like small group leaders that I lead with as well. Like they come to me about issues, and I'm more so than open to talk to them about anything that's going on in their life. And I wouldn't have been able to do this because I was so shut off. I'm an extrovert majority of the time, but personal time, I'm an introvert. Like, don't text me, don't call me. But now I'm like more open to it. Actually, call me, text me. If you're saying you're gonna reach out to me, I'm gonna tell you, hey, your phone works just like mine. Talk to me, like reach out to me, whatever. I'm an open book.
I love that, bro. You are living out being made royal and knowing your identity in Christ, and really discovering your purpose and fulfilling your passions in every way. So I'm honored for you to be on this podcast, dude. And I know it took a little time, and I just want to say you've always been a support with my brand and with this, and uplifting me in so many ways. And I remember how we met, and where have you been, where you were and where you are now. God has really restored your life. For sure. And I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you, man.
Appreciate it, man.
And
love you, dog.
Thank you for being here. Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, like, comment, and share it. Remember to stay focused, stay blessed, because you are made royal.